Welcome, everybody, to yet another episode of Voices of Influence. Today, we're continuing on the same theme that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks around social selling and personal brand building. And today, to join us to talk about this is the founder of Kadima Careers, Alan Stein. Alan, welcome to our show.
Thanks so much, Arjun, for having me. I'm really excited.
Awesome. So, Alan, I know that you have been in built a significant audience in LinkedIn, and you are have embodied like the idea of social selling for quite some time. But let me just start off by asking you about your founder journey. Just tell us about Kadima Careers and like what prompted you to start that, and tell us from the beginning.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard the term ikigai, of like the
Hmm.
Japanese term of reason for living. And it's basically when you find what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, what the world needs, and what people will pay for. And if you have those four concentric circles overlapping, that is your ikigai. I'm really good at getting jobs. I actually
Hmm.
enjoy getting jobs. I've had 29 jobs in my career at 21 companies.
Wow.
I take interviews sometimes just for fun. I still actually will take interviews. If a recruiter reaches out to me, I will still take the interview. I'm not actively applying, although occasionally I do apply to see what the experience is for our clients. Anyway, I'm good at this. I like it. And I see how painful it is for so many people. My dad, he worked for 38 years, and then his bank got bought by some French bank, and then they wound up laying him off eventually. He never got another job, not because he wasn't capable, but he didn't know how to get a job because people don't practice it all that often.
Hmm.
I've practiced it a lot, and I've also hired a lot of people. So I see both ways, and it's easy for me. It's not an easy process for most.
I like it. I think this. Yeah, interviewing is a very stressful process. I probably have now done like more interviews, hired people than like I've attended interviews myself because of how much I dislike attending interviews. So it's definitely a stressful process, and you're doing this. Did you decide that you were going to start this journey, and like what was the beginning? Like, did you decide that like okay, this is going to be a business, and I'm gonna like do this as a consulting style? Like, tell us a little bit more about the business side of things.
Um, it has evolved. It continues to evolve. Some of it was part of the foundation was based on the book Influence by Dr. Robert
Hmm.
Cialdini. As he was writing that book about the 7 factors of influence, he actually got into the role as a salesperson because who is a better influencer than a salesperson? And he took sales jobs to understand what they're doing. So I was reading that book while I was contemplating this business. So what I started doing is I started recording interviews and trying to break it
Hmm.
down, what's going on in the interviews. And I kind of knew before what was going on, but I just wanted to make sure that I know what's going on with interviews. So I was inspired by that. I was inspired by lots of different things. Also, my wife was going through a coaching program. It was during
Hmm.
COVID, and there was a lot of coaching programs. Coaching programs were going everywhere because everyone was at home on Zoom. And my wife
Hmm.
pays like $5,000 for this life coaching thing, and
Wow.
it's helpful for her. But I'm like, at the end of the session, what value are you getting? And she's like, oh, I got more confidence, and I have more clarity. I was like, yeah, but what did you get? And she doesn't really have an answer for that, except she got more coaching. She bought more coaching. She keeps going back for more coaching. I like coaching with benefits, and I am a hard like data person. So the
Hmm.
beauty of this is we can get people jobs, and we can show demonstrably how much money we can get them, and we can show how quickly we can get them the money. So if we're
Hmm.
demonstrating the value we get for people, it's really a great business to be in. And like I haven't really thought about it as that, but it just continues to
Right.
evolve.
Nice. And I know that these are somewhat still early days to your career. Like you're still in that 0 to 1, per se. Like if I can imagine. So, what are some of the ways in which right now, obviously, as a business, you are like looking at ways in which you can get more customers for your end, like coaching clients for your from your side? What is what is your key strategies? How are you getting these people? How are you like being known to all these people?
Well, now it's very different than when I started, and we can go back there if you want.
Mm. Yes.
Now, now what I'm doing is I have a decent presence on LinkedIn. I'm always trying to improve it, but I'm
Right.
posting there once a day. Now I'm reading Gary Vee's book, and I might be posting more than once a day. Um, and I've actually taken more control of my presence on LinkedIn because before, like, it takes a lot of work on LinkedIn, so I've had some help in there, and I'm taking more control of it for lots of reasons. Um, and so LinkedIn,
Right.
but LinkedIn is like 99% of my customer
Wow.
acquisition now. I don't want to be fully dependent on LinkedIn because LinkedIn, like today, we had an issue with 2FA, and we thought
Mm.
that like they shut down my account for something, and I was like, oh my god, what will we do? So I don't want to be fully dependent on it, but that's how we get our customers now.
I really like this. And so tell me a little bit about like the earlier times as well. Like I know that like when you had started this and it's been a couple of years now, and like what were your strategy at that time for acquiring customers? Who were you considering your customers and like how were you talking to them?
So I have a picture, I can give it to you for the show notes, where the first day,
Yeah.
July 18th, 2020, I just put up a sign in my in-laws' yard because we're doing a yard sale. And I was like, who
Mm.
wants a job at Salesforce? Come ask me.
Mm.
And um and I got actually a couple of leads there. None of them converted, but I got 3 or 4 leads from there because my in-laws live in a nice neighborhood. Um
Nice.
and then I started sending out emails to friends and like I made some people aware. And my first customers were someone who was a former colleague of mine at American Express and someone who like the other first 3 or 4 people were from my business school because I posted
Mm.
things in Columbia Business School's network, and some people saw it and they checked me out. There were lots of questions. It was a much longer sales process to convince me to. It was first like a coaching process. Now we
Right.
are a career accelerator.
I like it. So very network, word of mouth to start with, and then now you've evolved it to be a lot more inbound through like this one strategy, which is like LinkedIn. Tell me a little bit more about that. Like, I was gonna ask about platforms, but you already answered that part saying like LinkedIn is the main thing, but maybe a little bit double click on that. Have you ever thought about other platforms for your presence?
Yes, definitely thought about other platforms, and we're on some of those platforms in a very lukewarm way. So we're kind of like keeping the lights on there. We have
Got it.
YouTube. I have 685 subscribers. People who listening to here should subscribe to our Kadima Careers YouTube channel. It will get better. It's not so good right now, but we're working on improving that. We have a podcast, the Steer Your Career podcast, which I'd love to have you on at some point, talk about your career. Um, and we've done we have a we've experimented with TikTok, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing there. And we've we run some Facebook ads, but we haven't seen good results with that yet. So um, it's mostly LinkedIn and also events. So I've done
Mm,
lots of events and partnerships with groups,
mm.
and that's been helpful as well.
I like it. And obviously you've gone through all these platforms and started building your thought leadership in these. What's the difference? I mean, in the sense, the social selling in the sense that like, are all your content geared towards more promotion of like, hey, come to us, or do you like vary this in terms of like, hey, giving value and like giving them like sort of different insights like directly on the platform? What is sort of the ratio right now that you have towards like sort of dissipating information versus like soliciting them to like come to your platform?
I think right now we're too salesy, and I think we need to be
Mm,
less salesy. And again, like I'm very inspired by the marketing prowess of Gary Vee. And are you familiar with
right.
Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yep, yep. Of course, Gary Vee's pillar content to like micro content strategy is like kind of the basis of like what a lot of what we do. So absolutely.
Yeah, but he talks about like the jab, 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 right hook. And like,
Right.
it's like give information, give, and then you go in. And
Right.
I think I've been doing too much of selling, and I'm very I'm very proud of the product that we have, and we're not selling a bag of goods. We give people a 30-day money back guarantee. So if we were selling crap, our business wouldn't work. But
Right.
I think we've been a little bit more salesy than I would like to be.
Mm. Uh, yeah, this is great to hear because you've been able to amass a significant audience while still being salesy, and like so I can imagine uh how important a problem you're solving, right? Like so this goes testament to that. So maybe walk us through like your idea of building your personal brand. Like you said in the initial days, it was more there. What was the spark? When did you decide that, like, it's like, hey, I need to start building the thought leadership on LinkedIn? And like, what prompted you to start doing that?
Um, I think because I knew that that would be effective to get content
Mm,
out there, to get followers, to get views. I was focused on the wrong metrics originally,
mm,
but I was still moving in the right direction. Now, like my metrics now are very different than what they were when I started that I focus on. And like what Peter Drucker says, what gets measured improves. So you got to measure the right metrics, but it's taken me a while to measure the right metrics. Um, I like it just makes like I've always liked LinkedIn. I've been an early adopter of LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn more than 20 years. I've been on more than
mm,
99.63% of people. Just because I was in business
mm.
school and our professor in the class was talking about it, and I was like, "Oh, let me check this out," because I was never in like Facebook or Friendster was then. I wasn't really big onto Friendster. Um, but LinkedIn, I was like, "Oh, this looks interesting and it looks valuable." And the first connection I made was like my business school student who was sitting right next to me, who I don't think I've really spoken to since. I actually forget his name now, but I looked it up. So I like the space also. I spend a lot of time on there. I'm trying to be more efficient because really I could
Mm,
spend 24 hours a day on LinkedIn. And
nice.
um, but I'm figuring out like I got to get out. I got to get away from my computer.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, no, I mean, being on too much social media has like totally different kind of things as well. This is in some ways a social media in some sense. But tell me a bit more about those days when you started your business and you were deciding to like build your brand and like thought leadership and like grow your audience. Like, how did you decide who your audience is going to be? I mean, it probably lined up significantly with your ICP of who you are, but who was that, and how did you decide that that's going to be the people that I'm going to be targeting?
It's a great question and it's evolved significantly. So
Okay.
we started when I started as a solopreneur, it was uh it was right after George Floyd's murder. And I
Mm.
saw the DEI efforts in the tech space and I saw how shitty of it. Oh, can we curse on this?
Please go for it. Yeah.
I guess I already did. How shitty the DI efforts were at these companies, and I saw what was going on. I saw what the problems were. I actually applied multiple times to get DEI related jobs. I lost out to
Mm.
black women for the job, honestly,
Mm.
like who did not do well in the job for lots of reasons. Not at all because she was a black woman, but that's why they gave her the job. She was underqualified. If you look at her LinkedIn profile, anyway, um, so I first focused on underrepresented, underestimated, underpaid professionals. And we
Mm.
still work with them, but we've changed the way that we talk about our target market. Our target market are ambitious professionals who are ready to own their career.
Mm. Okay, so you've the type of audience you've evolved, and has your brand and like how you create content and everything evolved along with that as to like what you're talking about?
Yes. Well, yes, it has. Like I've been testing so many different things, and I've worked with so many different agencies, and I've tried carousels, and I've tried different writers to
Mm,
help me and other things. Yeah, so it continues to evolve, but I think I have found the place where I'm comfortable at. We'll see if it sticks, but
Mm,
you'll start to see that starting immediately on LinkedIn.
right. And And you said like you've tried like different types of content and everything. Tell us a little bit more about like you now are, I see quite a bit of video content. And so when did that shift happen to creating video content? And do you currently like focus a lot more on video content or is it split between video and text and everything?
So the way I first got turned on to video content was Hala Taha. Do you know her on LinkedIn?
No, I don't.
She's a big
No.
influencer. She has since blocked me on LinkedIn because we had a disagreement on the term genocide, but that's another conversation. I don't want to go into there now. Um, I it was a totally respectful conversation, but she just didn't like that we had a difference of opinion. Um, but she turned me on to video. She's like, video is working on LinkedIn, and she's great. She's
Right.
calls herself the podcast princess, and she's really good on LinkedIn. I highly recommend people
Mm.
listen to her. I can't follow her on LinkedIn. It's kind of a bummer, but you should check her profile out. Then she put me in touch. Like she mentioned some video guy who is really helpful in getting me started. His name is Alex B. Sheridan. Really
Mm.
good video guy. And I started doing some video content on LinkedIn. It didn't really, it wasn't really me. I was like, but like I was getting started and I was putting stuff out there. And I think it's important to just take swings at the plate. And I've done lots of
Mm.
stuff out there that if I look back on, I wouldn't be embarrassed, but I'd be like, hey, this really sucked. But you got to like take swings at the plate.
Yeah.
And there's no downside. The worst that happens is it doesn't get a lot of views, which is a good thing. Like
Right.
no one saw it because it was so crappy.
No, I think that's actually a really good point, and I'm gonna totally ask you about that. The amount of effort it takes to go through that nobody's listening, but I'm still talking kind of phase, which everybody has to go through. And I'm glad that you came through that, and like now you have like significant engagement in yours. So tell me a little bit more about that. Like, so when you started video content, you felt like you weren't like really as good, but like it was sucky. But like now you've gotten a little bit better. What changed? What is now different?
I try to look at the metrics. I try to see what's working. And if it's not working, I try
Mm,
to change it up or I try to see what is working. I think I also have not been my authentic self in some ways.
mm,
Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. And also I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to reduce the amount of time that I spend. All I want to do is shoot a video and that's it.
right. Mm,
But now I'm still like massaging it and uploading it somewhere and trying to direct somebody to do it. And I don't have the right people yet that are like, I
right.
have people that are doing a decent job. Like I put video stuff up there, but it's not
Right.
Gary V quality. It's not like Hala Taha quality. It's not like Alex Hermosi quality. And there's no reason why it can't be like that. Like I don't want to be
Right.
Alex, Alex Hermosi.
I am familiar with Alex Mosi. Yes.
Yeah, like I'm not going to be him wearing a wife beater t-shirt. Like that's not my
Right.
style. But the stuff that he talks about and the video content that he puts up there is good stuff and he doesn't put a
Right.
lot of like production value into it or at least not too much on LinkedIn, but it gets up there quickly. So I just want to be more efficient with it. That's what's holding me back.
Nice. Okay. That makes a ton of sense. Um, So tell me about maybe your, the content creation process that you follow right now. Like, there is the idea that comes into your head, and then like, how does that see from there to like the post? Like, walk me through that.
We don't have a good process now. So I'm
Okay.
looking to build that. So I have ideas of how to do it and I think I have the right folks lined up for it. Like my team is great. Like Kadima Careers, we have basically seven full-time employees, and they are awesome. But they've been doing a lot of different things, wearing lots of different hats, and we've been making good, like getting our podcast out there, getting our YouTube out there. So I don't have the right, like I know how I want it to work, but
Mm.
we're not doing that yet.
Tell me what do you think about like how you want it to work? What's sort of missing right now?
I think good process and good program management, project management. I think our
Right.
team has lots of skills in lots of areas. The program management, project management is not one of them, and that's okay.
Got it.
Like I'm not good at it either. So
Right.
if I was good at it, I would just take charge. I've seen good people at my time at Google and Facebook and American
Right.
Express and Salesforce that are good at this and can like keep things organized and keep things moving along.
Right.
We just have that gap right now, but we're not terrible. But
Right. No.
we're not like at the stage where I can get good content on YouTube, good content on like good ads or good organic content on Facebook as well.
Right. No, I mean, I hear you. I mean, the fact that like you're growing and you have a large audience, like in spite of you feeling that there are so many shortcomings in your process and everything, like is a great testament that you picked a very important topic and you picked an audience for whom this is like sort of hitting the nerve and that this is like relevant for them. But like, you can only like imagine like how better it can be once you start like getting all the process and everything lined up, which is great. And I know that you just mentioned that like you were engaged in a conversation to the point where you got like blocked by somebody. Like, tell us a little bit more about like not the content creation maybe, but more about the engagement and like how you spent your time on LinkedIn.
Um, oh, so it's changing. So I'll tell you what it's going to be going forward.
Right.
Um, I do a post every day. I do a post
Okay.
on my personal account. I do a post on our corporate account. Sometimes someone else will do it on the corporate account. Um, I reach out and connect with a lot of people. I
Mm,
disconnect with people that
mm,
like because I have a lot of connections that like I got over time that
right.
like
Are not relevant
I
anymore.
shouldn't have accepted it, but like LinkedIn has a limit on connections and I'm approaching it. So I do that. But I'm probably actually going to use someone on my team to do that. I learned this trick from Gary Vee, the $1.80 a day rule. So he says
Mm,
leave 90 comments a day on like whatever
wow.
platform. 2 cent, like leave your 2 cents 90 times, $1.80. And
Wow.
I have not done that yet. I have to carve out time to do that because that's a time consuming task because you got to like he's like add thoughtful comments. So there's some time associated with that, but I think there's lots of value of doing that. So we'll see if I actually get to that. I
Right.
like today I'm up to like 12 cents, I think. Um um and then yeah, then I'll boost people's stuff if I see people that are good. I try to engage with people. I'm working on that, but I got to carve out more time. It's really evolved over the course of time, and I finally think I'm at this inflection point where the way I'm managing it is going to be the most optimal way.
Right.
Because yeah, like I have help in my account because it's just too much. But I'm
Right.
trying to take on the stuff where I can be authentic and be the one reading, responding, and commenting. So
Right. No, makes a lot of sense. And when it comes to ideas for content, obviously, like I really like the jab, 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 right hook analogy that you said over there. But like I've heard like the whole give, give, give 9 times and like take 1 time kind of things as well. Like
yeah.
there is many ways in which we can, and so obviously there is the idea for the content that comes to you, and like tell me a little bit more about that. Like how do you vet ideas? Do you keep track of these ideas somewhere? And like how are you like picking the which idea you're going to talk about today in your post?
Some like I listen to a lot of podcasts. So if I hear
Okay.
something in a podcast that inspires something, I'm trying to figure out a better way to capture it, but I might stop and just record something or jot down a note. Um,
Mm,
Sometimes I'll put it right in LinkedIn's publisher, the editing tool, if I come up there, but the editing tool kind of sucks. Like they're a
mm,
scheduler tool. Um,
mm,
um, Sometimes when I'm walking my dog in the morning, so every Saturday I do a poll on LinkedIn. So
mm,
I always come up with it Saturday morning when I'm walking my dogs at like 6 a.m. because like I'll do the poll later in that morning and I just think about what's relevant, what's going on in the world um, with regard to careers. Um, and yeah, I also have this been trying, like some of my most engaged posts have been reposts of
Mm,
something where I've added some value to it as well. You can't just like repost it, but if you
right.
add something to the conversation, that those have been some of my best performing posts where I reposted a Stephen Bartlett
Mm,
thing, like what's he do? Diary of a CEO, I think is his podcast.
okay,
Anyway, some of my reposts have done the best.
I see. Okay, that's actually interesting. So a lot of thinking and like inspiration from existing podcasts, note that down really quickly, and then like go on and like record like the episode. So when it comes to like recording video and everything, are you like scripting it, just like talking from the top of your head? You doing 10 retakes? Like what's how do you do that videos? Because I don't know. You mentioned that you don't come authentic, but I felt like your videos were pretty authentic right now from the few that I've seen recently. So maybe tell us through what's the process there?
Yeah, so I'm trying to become more authentic. Like, so I am mostly authentic. Like here, this is authentic conversation we're having,
Right,
and I'm just
exactly.
answering it to you honestly off the top of my head. That's what I like best. There have been times with our webinars where I've been more scripted,
Mm,
and sometimes it comes off okay, but it's kind of really boring for me just to read a teleprompter. And I was
right.
like, why am I even here? So, um, it's so we're going through that process. We have a disagreement on my team of how important it is to optimize the quality of our webinars. I think our
Mm,
webinars are pretty darn good. Like we get good reviews on them, and the team is always trying to tweak them to be the perfect webinar. So we have one this Wednesday. I don't know when is this episode coming out?
probably not for a couple of weeks, but
Okay,
yeah,
okay, but
hopefully
we
the next one.
we do have monthly events, and people should come to them and let me know how they are. But we get usually so I want to read less. I just want to be told, or I want to just like be told what's the goal of this
Mm,
conversation. What are we trying to get across here? And then I can fill in the blanks.
nice. I like it. So just have a few ideas, talking points in your head, and then be able to like just talk to that, and then like be authentic and be yourself. And you're pretty natural. Like unlike me, like I have a lot of disfluencies when I speak. You speak very naturally, and you have a good flow, so that's all good. So
I think you're
I love
quite
this.
good. I think you're being hard on yourself, Arjun.
I think we both are. I feel like the kind of things that you are talking about, and like what things you need to improve, and like how what you have over there. I feel like yeah, we both are being a little hard on ourselves, perhaps. Okay. Um, so one thing that you mentioned around like feedback and metrics as to like some things that you tracked before to what you're tracking right now. Tell us a little bit more about like what are you using to like get feedback, learning, and iterating.
So feedback is a gift. I honestly believe that even though it's like cliche, it is really a gift. So we try to solicit real hard feedback.
Mm,
And I don't want to see that everybody loves our program unless
mm,
we are getting like 95% response rate and I know it is a fair representation of the people. Or I would rather hear the truth that one of our coaches is not performing that great or
mm,
that they don't know where to find some of our documents. Even though we told them 12 times, if they still don't know where to find the document, that's on us to fix. So I love the feedback. Right, we collect in lots of different ways. Not not everybody on my team
mm.
appreciates the feedback as much as I do. So when I hear
Right,
feedback, even if it's like something bad about what we're doing, like
right.
I just heard this feedback that one of our coaches was performing not up to standards, and I was like,
Mm,
"Didn't you give us feedback on that?" And our client said no. I was like, "Why not?" It's like I was never asked. He was asked,
mm,
but he didn't see where he was asked. Um,
mm,
so that's on us. That's on us. So that's really good
mm.
feedback to know that our request for feedback was not being adhered to because we weren't doing a good job of communicating.
Got it. Got
And
it.
when I see
No.
that as a benefit, the person on the team who developed this, who is like my partner in crime here, our head of operations, Darcy, she's great. She saw that as a she felt like I was yelling and blaming her for
Mm,
like us not having good, I don't even know what, but I was so happy and excited that we found this gap in our process, and now it's a
right,
very fixable thing. It's extremely
right.
fixable.
No, I totally hear you. I think just like the discomfort of receiving feedback, like, is true, but as much as it is, it's super invaluable. And when it comes to like uh, business, you have a process for like creating feedback and getting it. When it comes to your presence and your social branding and everything, do you see that like some content does well, and like what kind of metrics do you track for that, and like how do you know that like, okay, I'm going to be focusing on these type of content from the future? What metrics are you tracking for those things?
Well, the metrics I track, I look at views. I look at mostly views for the individual
Views, okay.
content, views and engagement, because views engagement. But I don't look at it that carefully. I know my average is about 7,000 a day, and if I have
Mm,
something that's way under that, it didn't do well. If I have something way over, I'm like, okay, what's going on well here? I used to track it on a spreadsheet, and it's a pain in the ass. Um,
right.
but the number one metric I care about are profile views. Who's looking at my profile?
Mm,
And I need to do a better job of improving my profile. And for your listeners out there, as you look at my profile, I would love for you to tell me how I can do a better job of adding value to visitors so that they
right,
are willing to exchange their email for some valuable asset that we have for them. We have resume
right,
templates, we have top 100 company lists, we have attendance to our webinar, but that's what we're trying to do on LinkedIn is
right,
build that relationship off of LinkedIn. Not that I want to steal people from LinkedIn, but LinkedIn could ban
right.
me for whatever reason that they want, and then I won't be able to talk to all the ambitious professionals out there.
Makes a lot of sense. Um, I love it. So you have a process over here. So we're at 30 plus minutes over here, and we usually like I'm kind of engrossed in this that I'm going on this. So I'm gonna wrap up with like one last question over here as to like if someone were to like start building their brand on LinkedIn, what is a good place to get started right now, or like what is one habit or process that they should build that's going to help them in the long run?
Do it every day. Look at your
Do it
numbers.
every day.
And no matter what your numbers are, always try to be doing better. Don't compare yourself. Like I compare myself to people with like 5 million views. It's like, I want to get to like just a million. I don't need 5 million. I'm at 43,000 followers now. When I started this, like I was like, I wanted to go. Anyway, I thought I'd be at 100,000 followers like 3 years ago. And I'm at
Mm,
43,000. A lot of people think that's good, but it depends on who you compare yourself to.
right.
So look at the numbers, find out what numbers are important to you, but put something out there every day and
Mm,
see what is resonating, see what people like, and continue to do. And you can look at what other things are doing well on the platform, what are getting lots of engagements, because you won't know the views as someone on the platform, but you can look at engagement numbers and emulate that.
right.
Imitation is the best form of flattery.
I love it. No, I think that's a great tip. Put your content out there every day. Don't compare yourself to like big already established people, but like only to yourself and your past, and like see whether you're improving over there. And yeah, these are great tips, and I think I have that. Like one last like this or that. If I were to ask you, just you have to pick between one of these two things. I think I know the answer to this one. Is like for your social media post, would you choose like one post every day with like 70% quality versus like one post every 2 weeks with 100% quality? I think I'm gonna just click this for you. I
Yeah,
think I
yeah,
know what it
yeah.
is.
Keep taking swings. It's like
Okay.
just like interviews. There's no
Mm,
downside of taking another swing at the plate.
I love it. Yeah. Awesome. Alan, this was a pleasure talking to you. I think I learned quite a bit over here and like more about you. Like I like your spirit on like how you have approached this so far and like your sort of ground to earth nature on like how you're looking at this at this point in time. Appreciate everything. Thanks so much for being on the show and thanks for sharing your thoughts.
Thanks a lot for having me. Appreciate it.